The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor-producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. My name is Dr. Jolie Phillips. You're listening to Soul Decodes, and this is a special occasion for us because we're coming up on a new year.
New year,
and I'm with
2025 approaching.
I'm with Sarah Tirri. She's an author. She's a writer and a philosopher and a thinker, and
or a non-thinker. If I'm trying not to think.
But you got a lot of things on your mind. We've both had super busy holiday schedules.
Gosh.
It was all we could do to find some time to squeeze in to get this holiday or this New Year's special done.
Yeah.
This is your time. Tell us what you want to do for the New Year episode.
Well, so I've been thinking about it, and I'm curious to know why it is that we want to do something on the 1st of January, that we've committed to this future moment. And is that because we're hedonistic to the point we'd much rather having discipline takes place in the future or discipline takes place now? So there must be some hedonism behind that.
It's fascinating.
It's, so I don't know. What is it we keep postponing here?
So that's what you want to open with.
Mm-hmm.
And
a New Year's resolution.
Well, fascinating. It's fascinating because it's very similar to, in many ways, to what I wanted to open with too. But before we do any opening, I wanted to tell you some
Let's
good.
Close up.
I want to tell you some good news.
Oh.
First of all, we have 3 new countries. We're in a lot of countries now.
That's good.
Even though we're brand new. For those of you who are brand new to Soul Decodes, we just started in like August of 2024. I think we've got 14 or 15 episodes now, but we have. The Netherlands came on board.
Oh, good.
So if you're in the Netherlands, thank you for listening.
Yeah, nice.
But also, can you believe it? This is the first month we've got Mexico and Canada.
Oh, good.
We've had all these countries, but
we need to get a map up here.
We really
do. Let's put it over there and get a pin in it and put all this, and then we'll link up. That'll be nice.
So for those of you who don't know, Sarah's designing my studio.
I am.
We need a map up over here.
It's a huge studio.
But I just want to say that's awesome. And then for those in the United States, you want to guess what the top city is for listeners in the United States?
I have no clue.
Believe it or not, Orlando.
So why is that then?
I don't know.
No.
I guess there's just a bunch of cool people in Orlando.
I think Florida's a cool place, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So
Orlando is
cool
our
people
top.
In Orlando.
I'm always. I'm going to sometimes list the top 3, and right now we have Orlando's number 1. For listenership.
Love
Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you, Orlando. We love you. I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, you're going to Orlando.
Yes, I'm going to Orlando.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And then next is Annapolis.
So what state's that in?
It's in Maryland.
Annapolis is Maryland?
Yeah. So
I'm doing Minneapolis. Yeah, Annapolis.
Annapolis is in Maryland, but that's where I think that's where the Naval Academy is. So maybe we have Naval. And then the third one, a city called Ashburn.
Where's that?
I think it's in the Carolinas.
I was going to say it sounds like it does sound Carolina.
But I just pulled these off the internet, and I was like, wow, Ashburn. We have some cool people in Ashburn too. So I just want to thank you all. We're going to talk about our New Year's goals later, but I just want to thank you all. And if you find value with what we're doing with Soul Decodes, please share it with your friends and family. And we even have people close to us that still don't know about our podcast. So just share with other people.
Nice, thank you.
But I'm excited that you wanted to open up with this idea of what is this whole thing about New Year's? What is this about?
Well, what's our fascination?
For those of us who are not as advanced as you, what do you mean when you say this hedonistic tendency? Or what does that even mean?
For me, New Year's resolution seems to revolve around the idea that we're going to do something that we haven't been doing. And so the reason that we haven't been doing it and we know that we should do it is because we lack discipline. And we could lack discipline because we have these hedonistic tendencies to not want to have discipline. So for me, we've got to, having discipline is huge. You know more about that than a lot of people because of your background. Mm-hmm. But we want to postpone discipline, I think, to the 1st of January. And then we're going to see how long we can have discipline for. And it could be 24 hours, or you get to your goal, right? And it's always to do with having more discipline. I've never heard. If I would say to you, what's your New Year's resolution? You probably don't have one, do you?
I have several.
Oh, okay. What are they?
I have a whole bunch of them.
Oh, do you? Okay. It can't be discipline, though.
This is a really good question.
Because you're already disciplined.
No, but I really love where you're going with this. And let's make this a tapestry, because you throw some points out. My perspective on New Year's is that it's really kind of a bogus concept as it stands right now. Because our new year is January 1st. How the hell did we come up with January 1st, the middle of freaking winter in most places in the world? Why is it January 1st?
What would you rather it be?
Well, I think if you really look at this, because everything's cycles, right? Everything,
yes.
The earth, the moon, the stars, everything's a season, everything's a cycle. Even our bodies have like biorhythms, right? Mm-hmm. We have these different cycles. Rhythms. We have circadian rhythms. Mm-hmm. Everything's a cycle. Everything's a rhythm. When I think of a new year, I think of a new birth. I think of a new season. And if I had to pick my choice of what the new year should be, I would think it would be either the first day of spring.
What day is that? Like 1st of April or something?
No, it's March 21st.
Okay, the solstice, the spring.
It's the equinox.
Equinox, that's right, yeah.
So it's the vernal equinox.
Yeah, so you think we're a couple of months too early for no goddamn good reason.
For really no good reason. There's no good reason. And already in a previous episode, I asked,
why that? Yeah.
But then even if you don't go with that, you can link it up to the lunar cycle or something like that makes sense. But to me, and this is a throwback to my friendships with my pagan friends, to me, the new year is the new birth. It's the fertility of the world, the earth. This is where the plants, the seedlings come forth from the ground. There's this beautiful...
Sprouting, yeah.
This beautiful emergence of life. So why are we celebrating new life, new year?
In the dead of winter.
In the dead of winter. It makes no sense.
It's absolutely bizarre, really. I've never thought about that before, but it really is. It's bizarre.
Really, I gave it very little thought.
Yeah, but you're
until we committed to this episode, and then I thought,
here we are, 1st of January. But I think that depends geographically where you are as well, because it could be warm right now. I think it's summer in South Africa. So
yeah, that's why I said for most of the world.
So it would have to depend on the time zone that you live in. So you'd rather it be the 21st of March?
Well, I think that. I don't have a preference, but I would like something that makes sense.
Yes, it doesn't make any sense.
Because there's certain things that don't.
In some logic.
And we talked about this in a previous episode. And for those of you who are brand new to Soul Decodes, don't think that, I missed the first 12 episodes, I can't go back and listen to them. Because you and I have covered a lot, Sarah, over the first 12, 13, 14 episodes. I think it's worth going back and listening.
Sure.
And then you can catch up with the rest of us, us cool people.
Yeah, binge them.
Just go and binge watch. Yeah. Go on a road trip. Go 7 hours and then come back 7 hours.
There we go.
So
what's on your New Year's resolution list then? Can you share?
Well, so I've got different affirmations.
Right.
So the idea of discipline, I don't. To me, if something's going to happen, it's up to you to make it happen. This goes back to your book.
Discipline, it could mean... Well, it depends what's on your list, though. I won't know. But supposing your goal was to lose 20 pounds, that is going to... There's no affirmation that's going to... You actually have to cut calories and move more. There will have to be some doing.
You have to cut calories if calories is what's causing the extra weight.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Or you can cut chemicals.
Yes.
Most people are eating way too many chemicals, therefore they're overweight.
So it's the chemicals that are causing our metabolisms to slow down then?
Well,
part of my New Year's resolution is to eat cleanly again. I'm quite good at that periodically, but I have to.
Well, I think, let's talk about weight, because there's a lot of people out there who want to lose weight. I'm going to say don't lose weight. You want to lose fat.
That's what I mean.
Because a lot of us, you want...
Yes, that's an interchangeable term for me, fat and weight. But you're right, you don't want to lose muscle.
It's because you don't want to lose muscle. A lot of people run into problems when they lose muscle. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And so for those who want to really lose weight, stop counting calories as much and start counting chemicals. A chemical is anything that, first of all, even you can get chemicals from plants. So you can't just say, oh, it's natural, because you can get chemicals from plants. What I would say is not all chemicals are equal. If I get nutrients from a plant, those nutrients are configured in a way that's not typically toxic to my system. I say typically because if you serve me a plate of poison ivy, that's natural, it's organic, but it's not configured for me to consume.
Yes.
So let's just be smart. And there's
Yeah,
got to be
it's not
smart.
going
Just because it
nuts
says
here.
natural, I mean, arsenic is natural.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So we have to be smart. Does something serve us? Can I get it from the garden? Can I get it from the earth? If I take an enzyme or if I take a carbohydrate from the earth, those molecules are left-handed molecules, and those are configured in a way that I can absorb them. My body looks at those and says, hey, that looks like something that's from a plant. Let that in the door. So the closer you can get to the garden, the more likely it's going to be not toxic to you. But when you introduce chemicals that are left or right-handed molecules, those are molecules that are twisted. If you use your right hand and twist it like this up, that means the chirality or the spin of the molecule is opposite what you would have in nature. So you could say, well, this is an enzyme that's found in nature, but if it's produced in a lab, sometimes the chirality or the molecular structure is similar to, it's got the same number of carbons and nitrogen and hydrogen and all this stuff. It's got the same numbers, the same quantities, but the spin of the molecule is different. Therefore, when you eat it, your body doesn't recognize it.
So if you're buying some strawberries from the local supermarket, they could have been preserved with a load of chemicals, and therefore, even though that's really good, I'm eating those, it's not good for you.
That's correct.
So how realistic is it for anyone to have a life where they've got to grow their own food? Or they're going to have to buy organic. They're going to have to spend their money on that. What if they don't have the money to do that?
Well, you brought up two issues. One is, how difficult is it? How realistic is it to grow some own food?
So I have this idea, for this New Year's diet. So the premise of this diet is that you can only eat what has a skin, what has a shell, what comes from a husk or a pod. Right, so let's just go through a few. So we've got bananas are fine because they're in a skin, avocado's fine, pineapples are fine, any type of nuts fine, soya beans fine, shrimp is okay because it's in a shell. So if you just have, I don't know what I would call it, the shell pod skin husk diet. But if you just set those ingredients, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to Publix and I'm going to give myself a week's worth of food, but it can only be in the shell husk pod that it came in. So you have to peel it or get it out. Because that's, to me, well, it's already preserved itself because it's got this own little casing around it. An egg would be fine, for example, because that has a shell. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds very novel, and I think that I admire you. I've never really...
Well, what about if I get you the ingredients, you do it with me? Now, I know that you're plant-based, so I wouldn't get you shrimp or eggs, but I think just to try and eat something that comes in its own casing, I really want to try and give it all of January if I can.
So let me just throw this out there. There's a difference between plant-based eaters and vegans.
What's the difference? You've told me this before,
right.
But I still
don't.
A
vegan is defined by what they don't do. I don't eat dead animal carcasses or animal byproducts. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're a vegan, you're defined by what you don't do. If you're a plant-based eater, it's more of an affirmative thing.
Yes.
Where you say,
but isn't the end result the same, that you don't eat animal
really,
carcasses?
By a vegan standard, I could go and eat Oreo cookies.
Yes.
I didn't eat a dead animal.
And beer.
And you could drink
beer. Yeah.
You could party. You could completely party.
Yeah, you could fuck your whole body up. Yeah.
You could eat Doritos. You could eat all
French fries.
Because by that standard, because I've seen a lot of very unhealthy vegans. Because you're defining yourself with
Have
two
you met
negatives.
more healthy vegans than unhealthy, though?
Light years.
Yeah, okay.
Typically,
yeah.
I mean, I could just by smelling people, I can tell if they're a meat eater.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Oh, I know. Like,
Yeah,
if you're a plant-based eater for any period of time, you really don't have body
So when I
odor.
walk in then, you're like, oh, she's had some bacon for
It's like,
breakfast.
Jesus Christ. I'm like, what'd you eat, a pig? How many dead carcasses did you eat? No, I mean, I'm not into sniffing your armpits or anything, but I'm just saying that if you have somebody
But
with...
plant-based is a better term, isn't it?
I've experienced zero vegans or true plant-based eaters that have bad body odor or halitosis.
Right.
Like some people eat only meat, only dairy, fats and cheeses and stuff.
I did it once. I went on it was like the Atkins diet, and I did it for a couple of weeks. And within my body, it was like maybe 3 to 4 days. I was quite disciplined about it, and I went into ketosis. And I had this most metallic taste in my mouth. It was literally like I'd put silver rings and just put, and had them, it was awful. I just couldn't stand that.
And
I was chewing gum all the time.
You bring up another good point.
I mean, it's effective. It did work. I did drop the weight.
Everyone equates ketosis to eating dead animals. Well, excuse me, but you can get into ketosis different ways. Like you can do an extended fast or even a short fast.
What's the longest you fasted for?
Oh, I don't really fast. I've done water fasts.
How long for?
Well, when I went through commando school, it was like living in a fast because you just literally ate off the floor of the forest.
Right, so it's just
So
berries.
there was probably
leaves.
a week, you know.
Wow. So how did you feel after that week?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Charlie, my son, he went on a fast for 72 hours. He's got a lot of discipline.
72 hours is a good fast. Like,
Yeah.
you do that a few times a year.
And he said there was a horrible lull. He said, but when as he was approaching 72 hours, he just felt completely invigorated and revitalized.
The thing is, and for those of you who have never fasted, the shortest fast you can do, and I do this all the time, perhaps once a week, maybe a couple times a week, is what's called an 18-hour fast. And that just means that I eat all of my plants. I'll have a salad, beans, beets, root vegetables, all my stuff from like noon to 6 p.m. Say it's Monday, noon to 6 p.m. And then after 6 p.m., I won't eat until noon the next day.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Well, that's really good.
So it's
for
the
you.
18-hour fast.
It's
And
an
that's
18-hour fast.
overnight. This is not,
It's just you go from like whatever works for
I
you.
sleep a lot better if I haven't eaten after 6 p.m.
Oh, so many people have sleep problems.
Yeah, because they're eating something at
they
9
eat something
o'clock.
at 9:30 in the.
Yeah, the other night I did. We Tony went shopping and I went shopping. We ended up buying buy one get one free Haagen-Dazs ice cream because we had about 15 people over for Christmas. We hadn't coordinated it, so we ended up with pints of ice cream in our refrigerator. So I thought, I'm going to have some ice cream. I ended up eating the whole pint. This was about 5 days ago. It was a strawberry cheesecake ice cream. It was a lovely moment in time. It took me about 20 minutes because I nuked it, so it was very, very soft ice cream. And the worst night's sleep, it was absolute hell. I fell asleep initially because I had all this sugar, and then I was awake most of the night, and my dreams were messed up, the whole thing. But that was a bit extreme, eating a pint of ice cream. But I even find having a meal like cheese and crackers something I just don't want to eat after 6 o'clock. But I fall asleep at 9. That's my bedtime at the moment. I think I'd be hungry if I was, because every 4 hours I get hungry. So by 10 o'clock, I need to be asleep. And then I'm never hungry when I wake up in the morning.
You and I are similar that way. I don't like to go to bed hungry. If I have to, I drink a bunch of water. And that kind of just gets me to the point where I can
Aren't you
fall
having
asleep.
to get up in the night and pee, though, if you do that?
No,
No.
not really.
I mean, I can get up and pee in the night and then come back to bed in a trance
Right.
almost. I'm not even kind of at the surface.
Just tell yourself I'm not going to wake up.
Yeah, I'm not going to wake up. I'm
going to go.
I'm just going
go there and do my thing and come
go back to
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah.
Gosh, we talk about everything here, don't we? So, but you bring up a bunch of points. One of them is you talked about crackers and cheese. That's like one of the worst combinations of food you can eat.
Is it?
Totally. Another one you brought up, like one of the people say, peanut butter and jelly. If you really hate your children, a PB&J sandwich is like the worst thing you can feed them.
Gosh.
Because
like
the food
American
combinations are so
staple, isn't
bad.
it?
Yeah. And then for me, you can get into a state of ketosis just eating plants. It's
sure.
especially easy. I call it an
Yeah.
SOS. You really want to.
You
drop.
couldn't eat potatoes and corn, though, could you? You couldn't eat high starch stuff.
Why not?
Because ketosis is having like under 30 grams of protein, eliminating carbohydrates, and having less than 30 grams a day.
This is where you and I are. You
know more than I do.
Well,
about
no, but this is the divergence. When you see, you're the mothership. Like you've got this, you've populated this avatar. I look at you and I see Sarah Tirri, right? Actually, I see your soul, but I see both. But this avatar that you've got is very complex. And it's not just a matter of, oh, I just ate a potato, therefore I'm going to not be able to achieve ketosis. That's not really
Isn't there a scientific mathematical formula behind the amount of carbs you have to not consume in order for your body to now use its own fat to feed itself?
You would like to think that, but there's other ways to get to ketosis that don't require eating dead animals or avoiding starches. Starches are the moment you eat a potato,
I love potatoes.
Not fried, just a potato. Maybe it's, maybe you'd put it in the oven with some onions or something, right?
Yeah, you could roast it. Yeah,
but
I roasted potatoes last
night. The moment you put it in your mouth and you chew it up, you masticate it and salivate it, those enzymes in your mouth, primarily ptyalin and amylase, those start breaking down the complex carbs. Your body, if you properly chew your food, and this, I'm not talking about food being meat and dairy, because that's a completely different metabolic, there's a completely different digestive process if you eat meat and dairy versus plants.
Plants, yeah.
There's completely different mechanisms. So what happens is, if you're eating, say you have your potatoes, and a good way to lose weight would be to have what's called mono meals. So go ahead and eat your potatoes, put some onion flavoring or whatever.
And could you put some plant-based butter on it?
Well, again, I was going to just talk to you about that because
most people aren't going to be impressed with a dry potato.
Right, so you have to think of ways to
eat
different starches or eat different starches. Like people say potatoes, but then there's other things like there's cassava.
And
Yucca is cassava, like different word for the same.
Yeah. Yucca's very nice, but I still like butter on it.
Right, so you can think of different ways to get the butter sensation or butter flavor.
So you could do, I don't know how you do that, a little olive oil mixed with some garlic might be quite nice.
Right, so when I'm talking about for next year, for me personally, starting the first new moon of next year, because I go from new moon to new moon, so I don't use a calendar I don't use like a monthly calendar.
I love the fact that you've got your own cycles.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's like I just go from new moon because new moon to me is a new beginning.
Yeah.
The new moon is to the month as the new year is to springtime, right? It's a new cycle.
Yeah.
So if I start something, I almost always start on the new moon.
Nice.
So what I'll be doing is for the first new moon is I'm going on a 0 SOS diet. SOS.
Which means?
I'm eliminating all S, which is refined sugars.
Okay.
Starches, sugars. I eat very, very little refined sugars.
Yeah, I don't eat much sugar. Apart from this pint of ice cream. I haven't got a sweet tooth, really.
Except for the occasional pint of ice cream. Oh, my God.
That was because I had 15 of them in my freezer.
If I had a pint of ice cream today, I'd probably go into a coma. My body would go, what'd you do?
Yeah, you would.
So
I just fall asleep.
So there's S is refined sugars.
And what's the O?
Which, by the way, refined sugars also includes flours. Like the white flour.
Oh, yes.
Your body has an insulin response similar to that of refined sugar.
So if you were doing this diet that I'm going to try and do, you could have coconut, right? Because that's in a...
Eat the whole coconut, because we're going to get to the O. There's SOS.
Yeah. What's the O?
The O is refined oils.
Okay, so you're going to get rid of those.
Well, this is where people get really pissed off at me, because I say there are no good oils.
So there's a lot of talk about having a teaspoon of olive oil, and this does wonders for you, and you don't think that does.
Who talks that?
I don't know. I mean, this is what I say. I have no idea what reality is, because you're going to say that this is absolutely a no-no, yet there's this advert that keeps playing all the time over YouTube, and I listen to lectures all the time about how great it is to have, I think it's a tablespoon of really high-class olive oil, and it's good for this reason. I don't know which is correct.
My world is one of whole foods. Whole foods is when the oil is still attached to the fiber.
Right, yes.
So if you want olive oil, eat the olive. If you want coconut oil, eat the coconut.
There you go,
If you want the sunflower
What,
oil.
walnut oil, eat the walnuts.
So what you're saying about the husk,
Yeah.
if you want to have the walnuts, eat the walnut, you win.
You're automatically getting the
You're-
oil.
you're getting
so
the
it's
oils.
extracted oil in a bottle.
Yes,
We're gonna,
because what happens is when you look at the plasma, let's just say that you and I have crackers and cheese. Cheese is 100% fat. It's 100% fat, pretty much. There's probably a little protein in there and stuff, but it's basically you're eating pure fat. Same thing with ice cream. You're eating oil and sugar.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Now watch what happens. Your body has to deal with the oil and your body has to deal with sugar. It's refined oil, it's refined sugar. So now you just have this perfect combination. So you eat it, you create an emergency for your body because your body doesn't look at a pint of ice cream, look at the index card and say, oh, this is from the ice cream tree or the ice cream plant.
Yeah.
Your body, the moment you eat it, you say, WTF.
Yeah, that's what your body's. Yeah, that's what happens. That's what I felt all night long. It took me the following day just to recover from this 15, 20 minutes experience.
So a lot of people, they have this thing where, oh, I can't have this sugar. Well, excuse me, but if I had my hands out here, for those of you not looking, I'm actually
you look like
giving you two
Charles
hands.
Dickens novel.
I'm giving you a choice, the red pill or blue pill, right? So, but this hand has got a handful of M&Ms. Bright colored, fancy schmancy M&Ms, right? Minus the green ones, because I took those. Then there's a handful of medjool dates. If I told you these had the identical amount of, the identical glycemic index, that means it has the same amount of sugar. But your body doesn't think so. Your body might say, okay, it's the same amount of sugar, but the glycemic loading is profoundly different. Glycemic loading is the thing they don't talk about. If I eat the M&Ms, the moment I look at the medjool dates, the moment I look at them with my eyes, my body knows how much insulin my pancreas should be starting to churn up. My body says 2 dates, you need 2 squirts of insulin. My pancreas looks at that because it's got an index from thousands of years or however long we've been around. It knows what I need. I eat those and I get energy because I have just enough insulin.
But your body's going.
But my body knows it.
Thank you, that was lovely. Not what the fuck have you done to me?
Yeah, it was lovely. It was not processed.
Have you ever put them in the freezer and had them from frozen because they go like caramel?
Oh,
They're
for real?
really like toffee. If you like a good toffee, put a date in and it doesn't go rock hard and it's just like eating a toffee. It's fabulous.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Oh, it's really good, yeah.
Thanks for
candy.
the tip.
Yeah.
There's your health tip for the day.
Yeah, it's really good.
So if I look at the medjool date and there's so much sugar in it, it's a slow release formula because my body literally has to cleave off the sugar one little molecule at a time because it's attached. Now, if I go over to my M&Ms and I go, and I just eat it all down, my pancreas doesn't even know what's coming because it has no precondition, no index, no frame of reference. I eat this sugar. Now I've got an emergency. Because my body, my blood sugar just spikes.
Yeah.
Now your pancreas is like, geez, what?
And I wonder what it does to your focus, because when I had this pint of ice cream, I literally fell asleep. I mean, I was just out of it. But I don't know what would have happened had that have been at 9 a.m. What would have happened to my focus? Well, my ability to recall facts. I mean, I don't even know what would happen to the mind.
Well,
but it can't
let me cover that. I'll cover that in a moment because this is, let me cover that. I'm going to double back.
All right.
Remind me about mental focus.
Okay.
So what happens is physiologically, you've got this blood sugar now from these M&Ms, this huge amount of surge of blood sugar. Your body just went into a state of emergency. You might not feel it, but you have an emergency because your pancreas is like, wait, what just happened? And it starts pumping out insulin. Like all hands on deck, pump out insulin.
God, it sounds so
now,
brutal.
The odds of it picking the exact correct amount of insulin is pretty small. And it's probably going to overshoot. So what happens is you get the rush from the sugar, but because you overshot the insulin, you crash. So you go to sleep because you just crashed yourself. Now you got a bunch of insulin running around your system with no sugar. The greatest way to gain weight, if you really want to gain weight next year, is F around with your insulin. Because now you got this insulin, the body has to do something with that. and it converts it to fat. So don't play with your insulin.
So you're going to cut out any starch, any sugar, and you're going to
not starch. I'll eat potatoes.
Oh, you'll eat potatoes. Okay.
No refined.
But no flour.
Refined sugars.
Refined sugars. But that's flour as well. So there'll be nothing, no bread, no cereal.
No bread, no cereal.
But
I really don't eat much bread anyway.
No.
Like I might have a piece of toast here and again.
Yeah.
Robin does a great sourdough. She's got like all these different. She names her sourdough starters.
Oh, does she really? Oh my God! Yeah, so that's a real treat.
That would be torture for not torture.
You're going to have you'll have potatoes. Will you have rice?
Probably not.
No. So it's going to be a lot of vegetables.
I might have jasmine rice or something like that.
And beans? You're going to do
I'll
beans?
have tons of beans, yeah.
Yes, because I'm going to be doing a lot more beans next year.
Beans, legumes,
yes.
Seeds.
Anything that's in a shell or a pod.
You're going to have so much energy because I'll double back. So we talked about S, no refined sugars, including refined flour, because that's treated. And then there's O, which is oils. You can have the oil, but keep it attached to the fiber.
Yes.
People are drinking coconut oil. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to, because that oil, it's going to take between 6 and 18 hours to clear out of your plasma. Well, if you have a bunch of sugar and your body takes this insulin and pumps it into your plasma to get the sugar out of your blood, the only thing stopping it is the oil slick. So if you have oil with the sugar, ice cream, if you have oil with the sugar, you're introducing a bunch of sugar, you're forcing your pancreas into an emergency mode, then you're introducing oil, and the pancreas is doing what it's supposed to, the insulin's doing what it's supposed to, it's grabbing onto the sugar saying, come on, baby, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And then it hits the oil slick and can't leave the artery.
Oh, that's a disaster.
It is a disaster. That's why I say that's a really
evil. It almost
evil.
shouldn't even be legal. It's
I know,
like you
right?
walk down the aisle at Publix and you're going to be... God.
So, there's people who love ice cream. I just say, look.
And your motive for wanting to do this is to have more energy?
No, I got tons of energy. What my personal motive is that, I'll be 62, first day of spring, March 21st. I'll be 62. I want to feel 21 again.
Right.
Now, currently I feel probably in my early 40s. But I want my hip to be 100%.
So you're doing this to help your hip.
This is about, I want to get my body as optimized, perfectly perform. My goal is to be a world-class athlete again.
Nice.
Because, I used to box in college and stuff. So I was...
Joey got his black belt last week in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I'm so happy for him. It's such a good sport, too.
Yeah, 10 years it took.
So I'm not going to box anymore. I'm kind of past
that.
No, I'm not kind of past that.
With a beautiful
it's
face.
Oh,
God.
You don't get this nose by a chance, right?
You cannot do that. So, there's other means.
And so the third S, there's SOS. The third S is actually salt. Now our bodies need salt, but not sodium chloride.
Right. Yeah.
Sodium and chloride are both toxic to your cells. So you're going to get swollen up and inflamed because they're toxic. And the reason your body inflames itself, it's trying to dilute the sodium chloride. You're surrendering moisture from within the cells, and it's going outside the cells because the body's trying to get rid of the sodium chloride. So if you're going to have salt, get it from a natural source like celery.
Okay, yeah.
Because celery's got salt.
Right.
There's other
My
vegetables and
salt,
plants that have salts.
Yeah.
Those are properly structured. They're attached to the fiber. They're delicious. You can use celery salt.
Now, are you going to be okay on this diet of yours or this new way of eating and then have celery and you'll just put some peanut butter on the end of it and have that?
Yeah,
that
I don't
could
do
be a
peanut
snack.
butter.
So you won't be doing mashed up nuts then. You'll do whole peanuts though.
I'll eat the nuts.
Because you can eat them straight out the shell because that would be on my list of things. I'm going to buy lots of nuts. I have to take out the shell myself.
This is so beautiful. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
But this is about going back because...
You can have anything as long as it's in a shell pod husk or it's wrapped up.
In the continuum, like if you look at the highest form of plant-based eating, it's called WFPB, whole food, plant-based.
Yeah.
And then there's raw.
And you've got everything to protect the actual food. That's what I loved about it. So if you get a peanut, it's got this huge, great shell around it, and then it's just got these beautiful little pieces of nut in the middle
It's
of it.
a thing of beauty.
It's lovely, and it can't be as contaminated as if you were, say, eating a strawberry, because there's no shell around that. You're eating that. But you'd be okay with a peach, because a peach has all that fuzzy stuff, because that fruit and flesh is contained within it. So I think nuts are absolutely wonderful. So anything that has its own casing. And if you were to just do that on anything, and you could, if you wanted to, you could have some shrimp and you could have an egg. But you can't have anything else, and you got to be. But I started writing this. I'll send you this list, and I'm just going to keep adding to it because I keep getting inspiration. But I wonder what that would be like, just to get your food.
I can tell you what it would be like, because when I do something besides eat plants, it's almost exclusively shrimp and eggs.
And they're the two things.
Those are the two things that I will do.
But they're not messing with you terribly, though, are they?
Zero.
Okay.
First of all, it's so infrequent.
Yeah, it's just not even an issue.
For me, shrimp is if I go to your place and you have shrimp on the barbecue, I'm going to have a few.
Yeah.
It's not like I go to buy 20 pounds at Costco or something. Like, I don't order.
If you happen to come across them.
It's happenstance.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not
And an
defined.
egg, you'll have an egg, like a hard-boiled egg or something
Well, this morning I
occasionally.
had Ray and Kaylee over.
Yeah.
Kaylee and Ray came over. I made them omelets.
Right.
They wanted omelets. I made that. There was broccoli and scallions. It was delicious.
Yeah.
They wanted cheese in them, so I put cheese. I also made myself an omelet.
Yes.
Because I'm with my guests.
Sure.
In this, to me, if I have an omelet.
Yes, you're not one of these pain in the ass people who are making a huge deal. You'll integrate if you need to.
Look, it's me. It's not me versus you. It's me versus me. I can't control. Like, we're on the airplane. We went to Washington State, right? Over the holiday. Went to Washington State. My youngest son is out there alone. His roommates are gone. We wanted to be with our youngest son. Mm-hmm. We sit in the airplane, and the person next to me is taking up half of my seat. So this is not. I don't want to impose my will upon them in terms of changing their diet.
But you're feeling that he's imposing his will on you because of his diet.
She's imposing her will upon me. And to me, it's like, this is not about me comparing myself to others. It's about me comparing myself to my future best self.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm already a plant-based eater and I very rarely eat like bread.
But supposing some of our listeners think it's absolutely intolerable, but they could manage to do this if they had eggs and they had shrimp or they had lobster or crab, anything and then everything is, as long as it has some husk, shell or skin, then that might be an absolutely wonderful way to eat because it's preserving itself. Now, in a peanut, can they put chemicals that would infiltrate that peanut shell?
I got to tell you, they can do anything right now.
I like this idea that it's contained and pure.
Well, there's a whole industry of what we call frankenfoods, where they're genetically modified and they don't have to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Charlene, our friend, she had a piece of avocado and she cut it and she left it on the counter, and it still hadn't gone brown on day 7. It's like, well, what the hell? That should be going brown within 3 hours of that being left there.
Exactly right.
It's terrible. And Ralph had brought them home from work.
So a lot of people will say, well, I've had people tell me, it's like, well, I'm not going to give up my meat and dairy.
No, totally wouldn't.
So I say, well, if it meant you trimming out your body and becoming a teenage power,
feeling really healthy,
would you be willing to just doing it like maybe have an omelet Wednesday morning and then you can have Friday or Saturday night having your meat?
Yeah.
Would you do your seafood Friday or Saturday night? And then just work towards whole food plant-based eating during the rest of the time?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
That's what I do.
And that's because that's what I was trying to express to you. Like, if I have a shrimp or a piece of fish or something, it's very, very rare. Not rare like cooked, but I mean, not a case.
Not frequent.
It's very not frequent. So my thing is, well, I don't want to impose my will upon others. I want to be the example. So when they look at a 62-year-old that's freaking buffed, and you can see cuts in the arms and legs and just clear eyes, clear skin.
Focused.
I want the people to look and say, hey, what do you do?
Yeah.
So I don't have to tell you, oh, you're you're that
But again, so we're talking
you're
about
killing
self-discipline.
gods. Yeah, this is about discipline.
Yeah, this is the whole thing. That's what because most people at New Year, they want to have more discipline than they have. Now, on your list, your first thing is to eat differently at the new moon. And that is going to require, now, for you, is that going to require discipline where you're having to say, okay, I'm not going to eat this, or is this going to be easy for you that you're going to wake up? Because you're not even going to think about it. You're going to chop some vegetables.
When you're in a place of gratitude for everything.
So this is what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, when you're in a place. Let me do one more thing. SOS, the third S is salt. Sodium chloride is toxic to your cells, but your body needs salts. You need salts. Those salts, the best ones I've found are from the sea. So I use what's called Celtic sea salt. And there's other varieties. There's a French sea salt. And
yeah,
so
I've
they
had
go
Himalayan
really
sea
deep.
salt.
Himalaya is a little bit different.
Is it?
But
But you should be better be getting it from celery or something natural, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but also the sea vegetables are good too. So if you're
like seaweed,
like if you eat the seaweed,
yeah,
it's got a lot of good salts to it.
Would do, wouldn't it?
And it's got the different minerals that are properly configured, properly ionized, and readily bioavailable. So these are, just because you don't take sodium chloride, which is toxic, doesn't mean you can't enjoy a salty taste.
Right.
You can have Celtic sea salt. Only one flake. If you ever had Celtic sea salt,
No, I haven't.
one little flake will season your whole chili bowl or whatever you're doing. It's but what it does is it's going to give you a more balanced mineral base. During the World War I, the emergency medics in the army field, they ran out of blood for transfusions. They would actually use the plasma. It was called sea plasma, because the ocean's plasma came so close to replicating our plasma that's in our blood in terms of the minerals, the chemical, the ratios of the minerals, that they could actually water it, like dilute it down so it had similar molarity to plasma, and they could get those, they could give emergency,
quick fix,
wartime military transfusions to get them back to the city where they could have a real transfusion.
Okay.
So
get them through the pinch.
Just getting your plasma to be balanced, much in the same way as it would have been with the sea plasma, is not something foreign. It's something very natural that we want to move towards that direction, getting all those minerals in your plasma balanced out to make you powerful. Because if you're deficient, I had a girlfriend right here locally. She was trying to get pregnant for like 9 years, 10 years. I put her on 4 products that balanced all of her minerals. She was on it for 1 month. The next month she got pregnant.
That's so fantastic.
The next month.
She must have thought that you were Jesus or something.
Well, no, she doesn't.
That must have been like a miracle to her. Well, if you've been trying for 9 years, someone gives you this, you do it, and then that must have been just blown away.
People have to make the connection, though. It's like, they think that it's something else that got... No, it's your beautiful self that finally...
And you changed the way you absorbed something, and therefore that was all it was.
And God, if you don't have molybdenum or selenium, you're not going to really have an easy time getting pregnant. Or if your spouse, if your guy wants to be more powerful, there's certain things like if they're deficient in zinc, bioavailable zinc that's probably...
Have you thought about doing, actually putting this into book form? Because I can help you with that. We should do a list of food that we discussed at the beginning, and then you talk in a book, because people would need to reference that, because all this is in your head. And I'm going to forget a lot of this, but it might be really good, because you could literally, if you're right, you could change your entire life. And you could improve everything, your sense of humour, your focus, your ability to recall facts. It could do something with your levels of inspiration.
Right.
I mean, it just could be completely life transforming.
I love what you're saying.
Yeah.
So when I have a lot of friends who are so-called energy workers. And when I talk to them about energy, so much of our relationship with energy is related to what you just said. If our avatar is a transceiver, that means we can send and receive information, not only cognitively, like in our brain, like I'm communicating with you plus our audience right now. it's really to our audience, it's not a communication because there's no feedback. But with you, there's feedback, so that makes it a communication.
Sure.
Our communication is at a cerebral level here. You're also probably picking up my heart because I'm loving you as I talk to you, and I'm receiving your love. So there's this huge amount of communication, but there's so much more that we don't even see.
So we could become super beings just by default of just changing your diet. You might actually, your perceptions might change on tangible but very refined levels.
Exactly. We already are super beings. What's happened is we've been polluted. We've had things introduced to us.
There was a Don Henley line, we've been poisoned by these fairy tales. And the fairy tale is the supermarket when you go in there, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it really
you
is.
are going into even though it's beautiful, you've got lovely piped music and you've got flowers and you've got this lovely bakery over here and you've got lovely smells. It's just a poison factory.
By and large, yeah.
I mean, around the edges it's a bit better, but everything in the middle is like just a load of manufactured, processed food.
So I don't know if you look just past our water pump house by the driveway, but we've got these bins, and I've got these trellises built. They're like 14-foot trellises with ropes, and those are tomato vines. So we've got I probably have 30 tomato plants started right now.
Wow.
And I'm growing them up these vines. We'll go when we're done. I'll walk you out there. We're going to have so many tomatoes, but when I feed somebody a tomato that's from really good soil and they eat, you should see their face when they have a tomato right off the vine for the first time in their life. They're like, wait, what is this? It's a tomato. No, I've had tomatoes for
Since
30
I was a baby,
years. This is not like anything I've ever had. This is what it's supposed to taste like when it's grown in good soil, right? Same thing with cucumbers. Like we have asparagus here on Phillips Island. It's purple. I walk people out there and you should see their face. I'll break a piece of asparagus off. It's like 6 or 8 inches, just baby. So it's not really firm yet, right? It's just baby. I'll break it off, hand it to them and say, try this. Oh, no, I got to cook it. I'm like, try it. They'll eat the asparagus and their eyes will get as big as saucers. They'll go like, this doesn't even need to be cooked.
Done not through what's in the food, from their surprise reaction to the flavour of this food.
The flavor's unbelievable because...
But how does
you don't have to
the
cook
average person is just going to not be able to do this, though? We were talking about having discipline. Even if you had the discipline, the accessibility of quality foods, you're really going to have to put some effort into it.
Well, there's that, or you can find... You see, my thing is this. Each one of us has got something we're good at. Like, I grow my own foods, but I'm not really good at that. I can talk to you about nutrition, and I'm good at it, but I'm not great. There's other people. There's other people who are better than me at those things. What the magic is building your tribe, finding your people. If you've got somebody who is good at those things, like I got a girlfriend, Stephanie. She grows in containers, and that's her business here in Central Florida. She sets people up with containerized gardening. She has such an abundance coming from these containers. She has to give it away. She has so much food. She could probably feed 15 families. So if you have one person that can feed 15 families...
But then someone could take the apples that she's grown and then bake her a pie, right? So there would be a reciprocity going on here, because if this is sustainable, everyone's got to chip in what they're good at. Right.
That's my point. Yeah. So this
is a complete transformation of how we live our life.
You want to build your tribe, because we've been very centralized on everything. And this is, if I could identify 2025, the word for 2025 is going to be decentralization.
Right. Okay, cool.
It's going to be the localization of power, money, infrastructure.
Great.
So instead of having everything come through these mega corporations where 6 companies own all the media, 6 companies own all the food, 6 companies own all the money, like all of us, each one of us is going to have a chance to be our own bank. Each one of us will have our own.
That's very exciting.
It's super exciting. And it's inbound. It's
That's great.
immediate.
I love that.
So
So it's getting back to tribes. So supposing I was really good at knitting,
Correct.
you could supply me with food and I could supply you with baby clothes for the winter.
This is
So,
the way
so
it
that's
used to be.
how this is. And if you're good at something, you're probably going to enjoy it, right? Because I love to write and I'm good at it. So they go hand in hand. My friend Charlotte, she loves to crochet and she's really good at it. She can crochet whatever.
Yeah.
So find out what you're good at, and then you've got to blend that with someone else that's good at something. And then if you're all good at something and contribute what it is that you're good at, what you enjoy doing, this should all balance into a beautiful exchange.
I would love to find, like you talked about your clothing line, and we haven't talked about it lately, but to me, I would love to find somebody who's into, who can take natural fibers, plant fibers. We could do hemp fibers, bamboo fibers, cotton, silk, all these natural fibers that nobody else uses anymore because they use the cheap plastic synthetic stuff, which I'm not complaining about some synthetic stuff. There's some things are like gym pants. I mean, there's
sure,
they don't
lycra's
fall off,
good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
tennis
need a bit of
shoes, right?
lycra.
I'm not going to run in my moccasins. I have tennis shoes, right? So, but there's certain things that, like, to the degree we can get back to these natural fibers, I think we should do it. I think there's something about wearing cotton or silk or linen. I would love, like, if I had somebody locally here in Central Florida that could do all those natural fibers and actually sew clothing for me, and I could pay them with food, or I could pay them with syndicating their podcast.
Yeah, just something.
Or something that plays into my things
Skill
that
set.
thrill me.
Yeah.
I could teach them about cryptocurrencies. Or
Do you think a lot of people are interested in this new way of living? Are they bored by their materialistic me kind of life?
Gosh, that's a good question. I know a lot of people, and I sense a change towards this direction. There's going to be a lot of people resist. They're going to say, but I need okay, here's a quick story. I got this probably 3 months ago. This guy came to me. He's like, hey, Jolie, I need to lose, I've got these medical reports. They're saying I'm pre-diabetic, blah, blah, blah. Hey, do you enjoy being pre-diabetic? No, I don't. That's why I'm talking to you. It's like, what are you willing to change? So I interviewed him. He goes to Disney Springs with him and his 3 boys. Every Friday and Saturday, they eat beer and pizza and all this stuff. And I'm very honest with him. It's like, what do you want more? Do you want a healthy, trim, fired up body that's going to be
instant gratification,
or do you want
hedonistic, immediate pleasure?
Or do you want to? And I say, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your children, because you're teaching your children a pattern of going and eating pizza and beer every weekend for the rest of their lives, because that's what you're doing. It's up to you to break the cycle.
And how badly do you want it is the question, isn't it?
So he told me, he says, well, I'm not going to not do, I'm doing this. It's something we do. It's our thing.
And don't expect much.
And I told him, I said, well, this is what's going to happen. Let me fast forward what it looks like when you become full diabetic and you're about ready to lose your legs.
God, did you say that to
Yes.
him? Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Jesus.
brutal.
Yeah, that is brutal.
Because that's part of loving them. Though.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
It's like, do you know what?
What was his reaction to
Well,
saying you need amputation?
Let's fast forward to today. This is just a few months ago, right? Today, he's cut way back on his beer, way back on his pizza. He's trimmed out. He's not even doing half of what I suggested, but just a little movement in my direction.
That's good.
He's already looking better. He's dropping weight.
He's realizing this. He himself is realizing this.
Well,
hey, I didn't do everything that Jolie recommended, but I walked in that direction. He can see that himself, because that'll be enough to motivate him fully now.
Well, so much
He'll just keep going now.
So much so. Yeah, he's definitely on course now. When you tell somebody the truth and they ignore it, the truth...
Well, he can see the results himself.
Well, the truth is a bitch, because once you plant the seed of truth in somebody, they know it.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there drinking a beer. It's not as enjoyable.
No, it's not, because you're just lying to yourself.
And they're looking at you, you're lying to yourself. You're eating this pizza.
Yeah.
And which is just basically...
Yeah, and you know that you shouldn't.
And it's like... And your joints are hurting. Your breath stinks. You're not sleeping well. Things are not working in the bedroom anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah.
So if you love your pizza and beer more than you love your performance in the bedroom, keep doing it.
Carry on doing it.
You're the prince.
But I think you're right. I just don't think it's enjoyable at that point anymore, isn't it? Because you have to lie to yourself to sustain
you have to lie
that.
to yourself, yeah.
And that's going to take a lot of
and
mental
that's
effort.
When you're sitting next to the person on the plane, that's all they're doing is they're lying to themselves over and over and over and over until they die. Yeah. And then maybe they come back and
they'll
do
just
it
come
again.
back and redo it. Could be hundreds of lifetimes.
They'll come back as a holistic natural health doctor. So we talked about SOS. We talked about New Year's stuff. I didn't expect we talk about health and wellness.
Well, it was really just discipline. That's how it's kind of started, because that's the whole New Year's resolution. Most people are going to want to introduce a new behaviour that they know that they should be waking up every morning and doing. But we postpone it. The 1st of January is going to be this big moment where we turn our lives around. Sure. And I would say you need to do that every morning. And it's like an I am strong, I am powerful, I have as much discipline as I need already right now. But I think we tend to put it off for a future moment so we can be hedonistic on the run up to that.
That's a good observation.
Why that's why we've got this whole New Year's thing. But I think it should be a daily. I mean, the New Year's resolution should be a morning affirmation. I guess.
That's a really good observation. And I agree with you, because once you that's why I ask my people, it's like I had this guy was 5 decades insulin. He was I guess a Korean War veteran, Army veteran. I told you the story in a previous episode, but basically 50 years he was taking insulin. And I asked him straight up, are you emotionally attached to being a diabetic? You've put the label on yourself that you're a diabetic. Is that a label you're willing to lose, or are you emotionally attached to that? Do you want to be a diabetic? And then I paused, and he's like, what are you, crazy?
What are the yeah.
And his wife was there, because I usually do one-on-one, but his wife, they're in from Alabama to see me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to both. Yeah. So I looked at his wife. I said, are you willing to help him do what I'm going to suggest? Her eyes are this big. She's like, of course I will.
Nice.
So 5 decades of insulin, 5 weeks later, he's no longer diabetic, and he's off of all 3 of his blood meds. She did the same thing because she was helping him, and she accidentally lost 35 pounds.
You know what? In this book, I want you to think... These anecdotes should go in this book, because these are subjective reality, which is recent in your experience. These are very, very good stories for people to hear.
Well, my message is not about...
You've got 50 years and you've got 5 weeks, and you could... So that's pretty fucking instant, right? 5 weeks is pretty instant.
5 weeks is pretty instant.
Really is.
Relative to
how long it's been going on. So I think write these down.
Because I
think people need that type of inspiration, because you can turn your life around quite quickly through just making these adjustments that you recommend.
Well, everybody's going to take things differently. So this is a military guy who did absolutely everything I suggested. His wife accidentally lost 35 pounds doing just helping him.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to do that.
But the other guy that you were talking about, he didn't do everything that you'd recommended, but he was more on the road than he had been before.
Right.
So he started seeing incremental improvements. Right. So it doesn't really matter as long as you're getting on the right road. And the more that you see improvements, the more likely it is that you're going to stay on that road and keep improving. Right. But I like these stories because they're real. And it's quite a quick transformation.
Most people are in the middle. They're willing to change some things, but not other things. So interestingly, just January 1st, I do have a new modality I have my hands on. A lot of these people are reaching for these. They call it the skinny shot. I can't use the name because I'll get censored and somebody shoot me at my front door.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
They call it the skinny shot, right? There's actually people dying from that.
God.
So I have a new. Actually, we've been trying it for about 4 months now. I was part of a group who was able to get a hold of this prior to the rest of the world. Okay. I've given it to about 8 people. Every one of them has loved it, loved the flavor, loved the taste, loved the experience, loved the energy, loved the focus, and it's not a skinny shot. And so I'm excited to roll it out next year.
So you're gonna patent this and you're gonna package it and then
it's
market
already patented.
it? Okay, it's already patented.
Yeah.
So it's an ingredient of some kind, a natural product?
Yeah, it's all natural.
Okay.
And it's not mine.
No.
But I have
But you're going to be recommending it, and have you done it yourself?
I have. I haven't done it. I've tried it.
Tried it.
Loved it.
Right.
In fact, I gave some to our guests this morning
cool.
to try. But I'll be rolling that out. I don't have the website built up yet, but as soon as I do, it'll be
And work on getting a book done with this as well, because this whole thing about, so we've got the discipline. So, I mean, you've got to be able to have discipline. I mean, if you don't have discipline, and that's what people realise. If you say to someone, this guy says, I don't want to be, I want to carry on drinking beer and eating pizza. You're going to have to say no. And it's just a mental thing, isn't it? No, I'm not. So how much discipline is it really? It's all in your mind. I'm committed to this and it's done. Well, so discipline should actually be less than a second.
Well, so discipline's such a funny word because it's got some it's positively charged for some people. Like if you're an athlete or you're military, discipline's a good thing. But for somebody who's kind of in their pizza beer thing groove, discipline's an evil, nasty word. This guy happened to be a former semi-pro athlete. So he's a foot in both worlds. What I would say is if you're stubborn, you're actually disciplined.
Yeah.
But it's in a negative direction,
yes,
right? So you were born this morning, like you woke up this morning with everything you need to succeed. You're beautiful, you're powerful, you're worthy, you're resourceful. You have everything you need, but you're also the boss. And this is what I tell people. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is you're in charge of your future. The bad news is you're in charge of your future.
You might be unhappy about that.
You're in charge of your future. So you can take it for what it's worth. But I would say that I like your discipline thing. It's not a negative word. For those of you who are out there saying...
Well, it's also just a moment. It's just a switch of focus. Because you just have to say, no, I am not eating this pizza on a Friday night. I'm going to chop up some beetroot and mash some potatoes. I'm going to have that and I'm going to stop eating. This is all very, very quick. So the discipline actually starts, you have to train your mind. You can't just fall into thought forms that force you to carry on, continuing these bad behaviours. But it is actually quite a quick decision.
I love your thought
just
form.
No.
I love your thought form reference because so many people think that, if I have to be disciplined, I'm going to suffer. Well, excuse me, but if I have M&Ms and I have Medjool dates, when you look at the flavors and the depth of flavor to just savoring the Medjool date, you will never eat an M&M again. Yeah. Just you don't have to suffer. When I was down in Jupiter, Florida, I had my own band and I had Monday nights was our rehearsal, and Robin would prepare these little spreads for the band before rehearsal because a lot of them came right from work for rehearsal. And for 6 months they ate and they'd enjoy food and they'd eat this and everybody loved her foods. Well, it was 6 months into this thing where they were eating our foods prior to rehearsal, and one of my 2 guitar players said, "This chili is amazing. Can I have the recipe?" And he looked at the recipe and Robin showed him there was no meat in it.
No.
It actually had
a chickpea ground up, probably.
Well, no, it had. In this case, she had. I think it was walnuts.
Nice.
Pulverized walnuts.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And
it's
mushrooms,
all oily.
And mushrooms.
Yeah, that's the base I use for the shepherd's pie.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
So these people, you don't have to suffer. You can still have crushed walnuts and mushrooms, and still enjoy chili.
Yeah.
So you just have to change how you do it.
Rice if you want.
It's not like you're suffering.
Yeah.
So they looked at us like, wait a minute, you're plant-based eaters? We've been dining in this place every Monday for 6 months. Yeah, and there's not any meat or dairy in anything you've eaten here, ever. And they're like, what? How can that be?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much just making up your mind. So discipline to me is just, it's not a negative thing.
It's a second switch of perceptions and focus.
It's a realization.
Yeah, it's a realization. Okay, I'm not going to eat this, and then it's done. It should be, but we agonize over it. Oh, I'll do this on the 1st of January. The reason I'm going to do it on the 1st of January is because I cannot have the discipline to do it now, so you're postponing that. But I think it's just a switch.
So I like what you said. We won't go too much further. It's up to you. It's your podcast.
No, I'm fine. Happy New Year. Enjoy eating everything out of a skin, husk, pod, or shell.
I want to ask you a couple things before we wrap up, though. I personally do affirmations for myself. I'm doing my 2025 affirmations for myself. So every year I tweak mine.
Nice.
But mine fall into 4 categories. One is health, my personal health.
Yeah.
One is prosperity.
Nice.
The third is relationships. So I actually have a goal for my relationships, including my relationship with myself.
That's great.
And then the 4th is spirituality.
Yeah.
So within that context, I want to see do you have any goals for yourself that you want to share or for next year for yourself? You mentioned health, prosperity, or
I
relationships.
think, and this would be not a goal for next year. It's a goal every time, every moment, every morning. In the first, I would say, 10 seconds, is I want to be able to control what I think about. I don't want to get lost in thought forms that are redundant, that could be petty, that could be recycling something from that's happened before. To control what I think about would be what I'm looking for, to do with more clarity in 2025. And I'm already working on it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, like Jedi level of thinking, where there's nothing I'm thinking about. It's either what I choose to think about or I'm in awareness and no thought.
So how does that relate to your spiritual growth? Like
Because if you have control over what you think about and you have a very big vision for your life, that's all, you're automatically going to go there in the matrix. So for the listeners that don't know, I believe that we're living in a matrix. It's a quantum field, and you have to have a large vision for what you want your life to look like, and you have to believe that reality is capable of delivering that, and then the thought forms that you abide in have to align with that. So you can't be saying, I'm a piece of shit, I can't do this, fuck this. You can't be grumbling about the world. You've got to refine what you're thinking about, and then anything that you want your life to look like, you can actually attain. You can just surf your way into that, but it starts with having clarity of thought.
I think it's beautiful.
And profundity of vision as well.
And so for those of you who don't know, Sarah's got multiple websites. You can go to earthangelproject.com and hear about this podcast and others, or you can go to souldecodes.com, and there's a link there. You can actually have a bookstore I built for you.
Nice, that's beautiful.
They can go and look at all your books. Even your children's books are there.
Sure.
So you can go to...
The Mirror World would be a great book. It's only 8,000 words. It'll take you 40 minutes to read it. And it's this idea that we're living in a video game. I use that as the metaphor. And you'll be different at the end of it, because you'll realise that your thoughts are way more powerful than you used to believe them to be. And don't fall into sloppy thinking, because you're just default setting of sloppy thinking, and then you won't get what you came for. To get what you came for, you've got to have clarity.
That's lovely. Yeah, that's so lovely. And so I've read The Mirror World. You gifted it to me.
Yeah, and then I think we've got an episode where I read it. I think it's coming up.
It's pre-recorded.
It is.
It's not published yet.
Yes, so that'll be published at some point in the next few weeks, so they can always listen to that. And I'm just reading that aloud, and I think you're commenting on that here and there.
I love it. That's awesome. So a few things just as we wrap up. First of all, again, I love you all, and I'm so glad you're listening to Soul Decodes. We're just getting started, so thank you in advance for sharing with other countries. Or if you want to be at the top of our list, get your state, get your city, get your people to listen to this. If you want to give us feedback, you can do so via souldecodes.com.
Yeah. Any questions?
Soul Decodes, send us some questions. Yeah. Soul Decodes is part of a syndication from Earth Angel Project. I'm going to share with you a couple big things for next year that I think will benefit not only us, but the world around us.
Nice.
First of all, for those of you listening today, if you've got somebody who has a podcast that's worthy of syndication, please drop them a note or send me a note on their behalf, or put them in touch with me. You can go to tiajolie.com or go through Soul Decodes. But one of my goals for Earth Angel Project is for the media aspect of Earth Angel Media. Yeah. I want to syndicate 12 new podcasts.
Fabulous.
In addition to Soul Decodes and Studio 17, I've got 2 more coming on. I want to do 12 more.
It's going to be just a big broadcasting
So it's going to be a broadcast company. So if you've got somebody who's got something to say that's going to positively...
And everyone's got some. You could start your own podcast. I mean, you and I weren't doing this a year ago, and we love it, and we're getting better at it, and we've got something to say, and it's easy. I think it's a great way of communicating.
Well, I would really encourage you, each one of you has got a song to sing.
Yeah, sure.
Go find yourself a boyfriend or girlfriend or a teammate or somebody who thinks either complimentary to you, or maybe you have similar goals, or whatever your thing is. If it's going to help the humanity, or it's going to help us move to our next level, let's get a podcast. I'll help you syndicate it. All you need to do is get some microphones. I'll coach you through the process. Yeah. But let's get you out there and get you making get some people listening to your words. I'm also excited about technology. I think next year we're going to be Web 3.0. We're decentralizing a lot of things. We'll cover that on another episode. Okay. And then I guess what I want to close with as we enter 2025 is you can't give something you don't have. So I want you to all focus on finding your inner peace, because you can't expect the world around you to be at peace if you have inner turmoil.
Yes.
So
Runaway thoughts is inner turmoil.
be the change that you want to see.
That's right.
If you want to see peace around you, become peace. Become the peace. If you're arguing with your brother, your sister, your neighbor, your former coworker, whatever it is, be that force that brings peace to the world, and find ways to lead with love and peace, kindness, compassion, understanding. Be the light that you want to see, because if each one of us is a little light, we can completely light this place up.
Yeah, I like that.
So, but I'll let you put your little bow on that.
I already did. No, get control of your thinking.
Okay.
That's a big one, because without that, you won't get what you came for. You cannot have a messy mind.
Love it. Well, thank you all for listening to Soul Decodes.
It's been wonderful.
Please share with other people, and we love you dearly. Thank you so much.
I'm going to eat a pint of ice cream now.
Happy 2025. Be well. Bye-bye.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.